I lowered my standards and my life improved immediately. For years, I thought high standards were the answer. Big goals, big plans, and big expectations. And all they did was keep me stuck. Because every time I aimed for changing my life, my brain shut down. Too big, too heavy, and honestly, just too much. So I did something that felt wrong. I lowered the bar. On purpose. Look, if motivation actually worked, you wouldn't be here right now. You'd already be consistent, in shape, and doing the thing you keep thinking about at night. So no, I don't want you hyped. I don't want you emotional. And I definitely don't want you commenting this hits and then closing the app like nothing happened. I want you slightly irritated. Because irritation does something motivation never does. It removes tolerance for staying the same. This video isn't about dreaming bigger. You already do that, right? It's about why you keep promising yourself, tomorrow I'll lock in. And then tomorrow turns into next week, next month, next freaking year. It's because your brain panics the moment something actually matters. Big goals trigger self-protection, like overthinking, delaying, and scrolling. So I stopped asking myself, how do I change my life? And I adopted one mental rule instead. A rule so simple, it almost felt irresponsible. But once I used it, progress stopped being optional. It became unavoidable. And here's the part people don't expect. If you apply this today, you won't feel inspired or transformed. You'll just feel normal. But tomorrow you'll act differently. And behavior change beats mindset talk every single time. That's the difference. Here's the part nobody warns you about. Your brain doesn't sabotage you with bad habits. It sabotages you with reasonable ones. Planning, researching, watching one more video, saving it for later, and telling yourself, I just need to understand this better first. All of that feels like progress, but it's not. Because your brain doesn't actually care about your goals. It cares about staying safe, familiar, and in control. That's why you can want something badly, like a better body or more money, and still avoid starting with surgical precision. Because starting introduces uncertainty, but waiting doesn't. Waiting feels smart. Starting feels exposed. So your brain quietly rewrites the story. You're not scared. You're being realistic. You're not procrastinating. You're waiting for the right time. I lived in that loop for years and said this crap over and over. I told myself I was thinking things through, that I was being patient, but I wasn't. I was hiding behind intelligence. And the scary part is, it looked responsible from the outside. Nothing snapped until I realized how clean my excuses were. That's when everything broke open. Because once you see the lie clearly, you can't unknow it. And the lie isn't what you think it is. Here's the lie. Once I feel more confident, clear, and motivated, that's when I'll start. That sentence sounds reasonable. It sounds mature. At least that's what I thought. It's actually poison, because confidence doesn't come before action. Waiting to feel ready is like refusing to get in the car until you've already arrived. How dumb does that sound? So here's the mindset that changed everything for me. I'm not allowed to think about results until I've started. That's it. No future fantasies or 5-year plans. Results are off limits. My only responsibility became this. Start something today that creates friction. Not progress I can brag about to friends. Just friction. Because friction means movement. And movement kills the overthinking. So what did this look like in real life? Here's what starting actually looked like. And I'm not proud of it. It wasn't a grind or a breakthrough. Some days starting was just a couple minutes of work before my brain tried to talk me out of it. One decision I kept pushing to tomorrow because tomorrow felt safer than now. That was the whole win. No long sessions or perfect focus. Honestly, it felt almost embarrassing to even count it. Like this is what I'm calling progress now? But here's what caught me off guard. After those small, unimpressive starts, the mental noise softened. Not all at once, but just enough to notice. The constant internal debate of should I do it now? Or am I ready yet? That loop went quiet. And that loop is more exhausting than the work itself. It drains you all day in the background. It's the weight of almost doing something. You don't realize how heavy that weight is until you finally put it down. Once indecision was gone, energy showed up on its own. And it was pure relief. Relief from carrying unfinished intentions everywhere. And when relief becomes your reward, starting stops feeling like effort. That's when I realized something important. I didn't need to push myself harder. I just needed to stop letting things stay open in my head. But why does this work? Because your brain doesn't multitask, it chooses. And it only ever chooses one of two states. Either you're thinking about doing the thing or you're actually doing it. Never both. When you're thinking, your brain stays comfortable. Nothing's on the line. Everything exists in theory. You can imagine success, imagine failure, imagine how it might go. That feels safe. But the moment you start even clumsily, something weird happens. The noise shuts off. No debating, because reality has entered the room. Action doesn't give your brain time to panic. It forces a decision. And that's the secret nobody says out loud. This has nothing to do with believing in yourself or taking one step at a time. Those are ideas. What actually works is flipping the switch. Turn thinking mode off and execution mode on. Once you do that, your energy will be unstoppable. This is the part that makes people uncomfortable. And this is where people usually get quiet. Not in the comments, but in their head. Because this isn't about discipline, it's about pride. You don't need a better plan, you need permission to start badly. And that's hard to accept when you care about doing things right. Your standards are high, but they're high before you've proven consistency. So every time you think about starting, you feel this invisible pressure to perform, to do it perfectly or seriously. And that pressure is exactly why nothing starts. You're trying to perform excellence without earning momentum. That's freaking backwards. The momentum comes first and standards come later. Lowering the bar isn't quitting, it's stepping onto the field. Because once you're in motion, raising the bar stops feeling scary. It feels natural, and that's how real progress actually works. Now it's time for the identity shift without announcing it. After a few weeks, something subtle changed. Not my motivation or confidence. My questions changed. I stopped waking up asking, do I feel like doing this today? That question completely disappeared. It got replaced with, when am I starting? Morning or night? Now or later? Before or after I eat? Not if, just when. There was no big breakthrough moment. It just felt obvious. Like brushing your teeth or locking the door. Like something that happens because it's who you are now. That's inevitability. And inevitability doesn't need discipline. It doesn't negotiate, it just happens. So maybe the reason nothing has changed isn't because you haven't found the right mindset. Maybe it's because you keep giving yourself permission to think instead of actually start. Imagine if results were off the table. No pressure to win and no pressure to prove anything. Starting is the only thing that counts, not finishing, just beginning. If you lived that way for a week, your life wouldn't look dramatic. It would look completely different. And different is how change actually starts. So don't confuse understanding with progress anymore. That mistake costs more time than you realize.